Welcome and thank you for standing by. Currently, all participants are in listen-only mode. Today's webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be posted publicly. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. Now I'd like to turn the call over to Linda Lee. Linda, you may begin.
Thank you, Lisa. Good afternoon, everyone. Hello and welcome to the Exploring Census Data Webinar series. Today, we will be learning about how to bridge the gap when the North American Industry Classification System, or also commonly referred to by its acronym, the NAICS codes change. You'll learn information about ensuring continuity in the time series data in order to conduct accurate economic analyses. So let's go ahead and hop right into the presentation. First, a little bit about the Exploring Census Data Webinar series. So this is a series of monthly webinars organized by topic. We found that many data users are interested in specific subjects, but may not realize that we offer a wide range of data spanning both demographic and economic areas. And whenever possible, we include real-life use cases to help illustrate how the data can be applied in practical and meaningful ways. The webinars are presented by subject matter experts with a Q&A, so you'll be able to ask questions during and after the presentation. Each session is recorded and posted, so you'll have access to this information that is being presented today again, and also to share with anyone that may be interested. To learn more about the series, please use the first link, and to view our past recordings, please use the second link to the Census Academy. A quick look about what we'll be covering today. I'll begin with a brief overview of the U.S. Census Bureau to give some context. Then I'll turn it over to our presenter, Mr. John Nagle, who will guide us through the 2022 Economic Census Comparative and Bridge Statistics. John is a supervisory survey statistician in the retail trade program area. During his presentation, we'll also do a live demo to show how to locate and access the comparative and bridge statistical data tables. Then we'll close out with a Q&A session. Now, while we've set aside time for questions at the end, please feel free to send in your questions at any time during the session, and we'll do our best to address them as we go along. Now, please note that we are utilizing technology from multiple locations, and we aim to provide you with the best experience possible. Should we experience any technical delays during our session, please utilize the chat feature to let us know of issues, and we will mitigate them as soon as possible. The Census Bureau is the federal government's largest statistical agency where we conduct over 130 surveys each year. Listed here are some of our well-known surveys. First is the decennial census, the once-a-decade population and housing count of the U.S. Next is the American Community Survey. This is an annual survey of the nation's population. On the business data side of the house, we have the Economic Census. This is the official 5-year measure of American businesses that is conducted every year ending in 2 and 7. It is the most comprehensive source for business data, and it is used for benchmarking our other business surveys and programs. The Economic Census also has a public sector counterpart called the Census of Governments. Now, similar to the Economic Census, it is measured every 5 years in the years ending in 2 and 7. This slide lists examples of a few of our widely used monthly, quarterly, and annual economic surveys and programs. Monthly surveys are a part of the economic indicators that are included in reporting the GDP. And the annual surveys include nearly every sector of the economy. When it comes to our data, a pyramid is a nice representation of the relationship between timeliness and details. At the top of the pyramid are high-frequency programs, where data are released on a bi-weekly basis with less details available in comparison to programs on lower levels in the pyramid. Sliding down a level to our monthly and quarterly surveys, these surveys are timely and include the nation's key economic indicators. And as mentioned on the previous slide, they are used for tracking and reporting the GDP. Moving down another step are the annual surveys. These are surveys that provide data for nearly every sector of the economy. Data from these programs are useful for analyzing trends. Then we have the Economic Census. It is conducted every 5 years. This is our most comprehensive source for business data. Finally, at the base of the pyramid are administrative data that serves as the foundation for our statistics. And now I would like to turn the presentation over to my colleague, John. All yours, John.
Thank you, Linda. Before we get into the meat of the presentation today, where we will go over retail data from the Bridge and Comparative reports, we would like to mention the unifying characteristics of census programs, which are geography and industry classification. Most economic programs publish at either national, state, metro area, county, or economic place level. The reports we will discuss today are only published at the national level. And economic programs typically classify businesses using the North American Industry Classification System, commonly known as NAICS. This system is part of a trilateral agreement between the US, Canada, and Mexico that was established in 1997 and is revised every 5 years. NAICS is a 2 through 6 digit hierarchical classification system offering 5 levels of detail. Each digit in the code is part of a series of progressively narrower categories, and the more digits in the code signify greater classification detail. The first 2 digits designate the economic sector. The third digit designates the subsector. The fourth digit designates the industry group. The fifth designates the NAICS industry, and the sixth digit designates the national industry. The 5-digit NAICS code is the level at which there is comparability in code and definitions for most of the NAICS sectors across the 3 countries participating in NAICS, again, the United States, Canada, and Mexico. The 6-digit level allows for the United States, Canada, and Mexico each to have country-specific detail. A complete and valid NAICS code contains 6 digits. The US also often codes to the 8-digit level for internal purposes. This slide is just a snapshot of the official NAICS website that can be easily accessed from the Census Bureau homepage, www.census.gov. You can obtain a plethora of information from this site, but I like to use it to see where a certain kind of business may be classified or to look up the definition for a particular NAICS code of interest. Now we will begin to discuss some of the key changes to NAICS for 2022 for the retail trade sector. The most significant change in the retail trade sector involves the elimination of the store-non-store distinction, resulting in significant restructuring of the sector. 2017 NAICS industries for electronic shopping and mail order houses, vending machine operators, fuel dealers, and other direct selling establishments formerly classified in subsector 454 non-store retailers were reclassified, resulting in the elimination of this subsector. Electronic shopping, mail order houses, and other direct selling establishments were distributed throughout the new retail trade structure in the same way as retail stores. Vending machine operators and fuel dealers were retained as 6-digit industries in new subsectors. Multiple 2017 industries were collapsed into new 6-digit industries, and other content changes were made in the sector. This slide shows a simple example for jewelry retailers. Previously, retailers selling jewelry could have been classified to 3 different NAICS codes depending on the method of selling. They could have gone either to the store code, the electronic shopping code, or other direct selling. In 2022, the method of selling distinction has been removed, and jewelry retailers are now all classified to the same 6-digit code. This slide just shows a more involved example of the changes to the retail trade sector. In 2017, there were specific 6-digit codes for each of the kinds of apparel retailers highlighted. And in 2022, these were all collapsed to the same 6-digit code, NAICS 458110, clothing and clothing accessories retailers. And this slide just shows a simple example of industries that changed codes, but were not combined with other industries. Now we will discuss the comparative and bridge statistics tables that present data on the 2017 and 2022 NAICS basis. Bridge Table 1 displays 2022 data with the 2022 6-digit NAICS codes, showing the distribution among the 2017 8-digit NAICS codes. All establishments now classified to the 2022 6-digit 458110 clothing and clothing accessories retailers would have previously been broken out among 10 different 2017 8-digit NAICS codes. I'll let you just take a look at this for a second. Now, Bridge Table 2 is sort of the inverse of that. Bridge Table 2 again displays the 2022 data with the 2017 6-digit NAICS showing the distribution among the 2022 8-digit NAICS codes. This slide sort of presents a simple example. The 2017 6-digit NAICS 448210 shoe stores is broken out to 3 2022 8-digit NAICS codes. We have the 448211010 family shoe stores, 448211020 athletic footwear stores, and 448211030 other specialty shoe stores. The comparative table shows statistics for the U.S. at a 2 through 6-digit NAICS level for 22 and 2017, but it is tabulated on the 2017 NAICS basis. This table would be useful to data users who are attempting to measure trends from 2017 to 2022. Our earlier released reports, the 2022 Geographic Area Series data, are published on the new NAICS basis. And since there are such significant changes in the NAICS structure for the retail sector, it is difficult to compare 2017 data to 2022 by reviewing gas tables, especially since the 2022 gas table no longer includes the 3-digit NAICS 454 non-store retailer subsector. This comparative table allows the data user to see both 2022 and 2017 data published on the 2017 NAICS basis. This slide is a screenshot of the Economic Census homepage that can again be easily accessed from www.census.gov. From the homepage, you would just hover over surveys and programs and then click on Economic Census. Now I'd like to show you how to access retail trade data from the bridge and comparative statistics tables. There are several ways that you could get to these tables from our homepage. You could access the bridge and comparative tables from our Economic Census page that I mentioned before. Here you would just go to Surveys and Programs, Economic Census. And this is what I'm going to show you in a few minutes, so I'm not going to pull it up right now. The second way would be from our homepage, our census.gov homepage. You could hover over Data and Maps and then click on Explore Data on data.census.gov. And then if you're a power user, you could just go directly to data.census.gov and search bridge statistics or comparative statistics. Right now, I'm just going to go through our economic census page, and then you can see the various reports that we have for the economic census. This is the geographic area series that was previously released that I mentioned earlier. But today we want to go into this comparative and bridge statistics. And I'm going to go in the order that I showed in the earlier slides. So first we'll just pull up the Bridge 1 table. And you can see that this table pulls up data for other sectors, but I'm going to limit it to retail since that's the topic of the discussion today. So I just go to my 1, 2, 3 codes, and I want to look up industry codes, retail trade, and then I'm just going to pull up all the available 6-digit NAICS within the retail trade sector. And I'm going to try to make the table a little bit more presentable. But again, what Bridge Table 1 does, it will show the 6-digit 2022 NAICS, and then it would show where the establishments would have been classified in 2017. So this simple example, we have motorcycle, ATV, and all other motor vehicle dealers. We have the total for that category in 2022. And then you can see how they would have been previously broken out. So you can see that something that was classified to this 441227 code could have gone to motorcycle, ATV, and personal watercraft dealers. It could have gone to all other motor vehicle dealers. And both of those codes would have been brick and mortar codes. And then also establishments that are just now all classified to the same industry, regardless of method of selling. Previously, if it was the primary method of selling was electronic shopping, mail order, or TV shopping, it could have gone to that 8-digit code. So I'll just kind of slowly scroll through. And you can see here's the example of vending machine operators. You would not have been ordering those through online, so that code didn't change. But now everything that's classified in furniture retailers previously could have gone to mattress and sleep stores, sleep shop stores, furniture stores, or the electronic shopping or direct selling equivalents of those codes. So again, there is no specific code or broad code for online retailers. Sales from online sources are now coded to the industry that they serve. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to pull up Bridge 2. I believe that Bridge 2 table will show data that may be of most interest to data users. So let me again go to narrow it to retail. And what I would like to do here is I believe that the code that would be of most interest to data users would be this 2017 6-digit NAICS code 454110. Slow it down. Which was basically any establishment that was selling electronic shopping or mail order. Now we break it out in 2020 in this table for 2022. We break it out by basically the merchandise being sold. So we were much more general in the past. So this could show you everything at the industry level. This was the number of online retailers. And now we have online retailers to various categories. Now I'll scroll a little bit more. You can see kind of the largest online retailers would have been household appliances and electronics. This is our number of establishments, all other general merchandise, clothing and clothing accessory stores. And lastly, I will show how to get to the comparative table. And the comparative table, again, is published at the 2 through 6 digit NAICS level. I'm going to just pull up the 6 digit because I think the most interest is the most detail. The 6 digit industry shows the most detail. So again, this would be 2017 and 2022 just on that NAICS basis. So you could measure that 5-year trend. So I'm going to scroll again because I believe this is generally the code that could be of most interest. And you can see the growth of electronic shopping and mail order houses from pretty much pre-COVID to post-COVID. And again, now due to the new NAICS, you wouldn't be able to get just this whole figure because now each of the type of establishments that are classified would now go to the industry that they serve. So this concludes the demo portion of the presentation.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, John, for your interest and time in attending today's webinar. And thanks again, John, for presenting our audience with information about NAICS changes and how to access the reports. Today, we featured a fraction of the economic census and the importance of bridging the codes from year to year. Please come join us again next month on June the 5th at 2 p.m. for a presentation on weather events and economic landscape, data and tools for disaster recovery, where our experts will be diving into census resources for emergency management. Before we begin the Q&A portion of this webinar, please take note of the contact information on this slide. For anyone that may be interested in a hands-on, in-person training, we have data dissemination specialists that are available to provide this service. If you have questions or need more information, please feel free to email us at census.askdata@census.gov. To ask your question now, please submit your questions using the Q&A feature, and we will read the question aloud for John to respond verbally. Also, with respect to everyone's time, if we are unable to answer your question today, please feel free to use the contact information on this slide to send us your question. Let me check the Q&A here. Now, I did see a question come in regarding the Census Academy. So if you could please check within the chat, our facilitator had sent a link to this webinar where you'll be able to find the recording. It will be available. It takes about 2 weeks or longer for it to post. Okay, give me one moment here. Let me check to see if there are any other questions. Okay, so we do have a question. The question is, are there users still Are there users that need previous breakdown on the electronic shopping by types of goods? And will this tracking continue over the years?
Okay, well, in the past, you could actually kind of see the categories sold by online retailers from our NAICS publication report, and that report would show the categories of merchandise sold by kind of business. Now, moving forward, again, since we won't have a separate NAICS for online retailers, you really wouldn't get to see the specific sales just from online retailers. So our plans as of now, we wouldn't be able to break that out by online retailers.
Thank you, John. Let's check back in the queue and see more questions coming in. Okay, so we have a question here. Give me one moment. When you are tracking a specific industry over time and it gets split into multiple industry or is consolidated over time with other industry, how do you know what I think it means proportion of those industries go into each one?
Well, that's kind of what the bridge table does. It allows you to get that historic preservation of the code at least through one census cycle. And then after that, you kind of have to make that bridge moving forward where we, for 2027, we would no longer be publishing anything on that 2017 NAICS basis.
Thanks, John. Let's check back. Okay, here's another question. When will the 2022 NAICS be used in the monthly retail sales release?
Okay, that's an interesting question because I actually had to remove a slide for time purposes, but we have, and I know I would fumble trying to find it right now, but there is a page out there that lists the when the various surveys plan to move to the 2022 NAICS. I don't know off the top of my head when the monthly retail trade survey moves to it. I don't want to guess, but I know that if you look up the monthly retail trade survey from our website, I believe there is a section out there that says when it will be moving to 2022 NAICS.
Thank you, John. Let me check back in the queue again. All right, we have another question. Any idea what the reasoning was for the consolidation of retail NAICS between 2017 and 2022? Seems like the e-commerce split remains useful.
Well, that's interesting. Through time, I guess it became difficult to distinguish the source of the sales, where sometimes the e-commerce sales would be tracked from a kind of like a headquarters office, sometimes from the distribution centers, sometimes from the individual stores, and sometimes stores had difficulty distinguishing where their sales would come from, whether it was from online sources or from the actual brick and mortar stores. So I believe that was the general reasoning behind just kind of getting rid of that method of selling distinction. Because even when, I guess when NAICS was first established, that NAICS 454 subsector wasn't really a kind of business as much of a method of selling. So I think that now we just wanted to move to more of a true industry classification.
Thank you, John. All right, we have another question. So is there no way to track online sales in the 2022 codes?
Not through the gas report. That's one of the reasons for this bridge table. This bridge table would be the only way that you would be able to see the online sales, at least through the economic census.
Thank you, John. Let's check again at the queue. It looks like we have answered all the questions that have come in. So at this moment, I'd like to express our thanks to everyone again for attending today's webinar. I'm tossing it back over to our facilitator, Lisa. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
This concludes today's webinar. Thank you for your participation. You may disconnect at this time.